Okay, this is page 5. Okay, we're going to do number 2a. Without simplifying, write down the sixth term of 2x plus 5 to the 15th. What they mean by not simplifying is we don't want to expand the whole thing. We just want to write down one term. How do we write down just one term without expanding the whole thing? We're just going to use the general term formula from the previous page. Remember the general term formula? It's written in the formula booklet, so you don't need to memorize it. You just need to know where it is. Okay, so there it is, general term formula. I want the sixth term. Now remember, the sixth term corresponds to the r equals 5 term. How do we know that? So like the first term corresponds to r equals 0, right? The second term corresponds to r equals 1. The third term corresponds to r equals 2. So it's always one less, right? So the sixth term would be r equals 5. So basically what they want to know is fill in everything, and we know that r equals 5. We easily know the rest of it because we've already been, for a while, saying that this is a and this is b. This is an easy b. It's just a positive there, so we don't even need to worry about the sign. And the n value is there. So now let's fill everything in, shall we? So n is 15, r is 5 because 6 minus 1, right? A is 2x. N minus r is 15 minus 5, which is 10. B is 5, and the r value is 5. And we're pretty much done. We just need to simplify now. What is 15 chooses 5? Well, we don't want to build Pascal's triangle out to row 15. So let's do math, probability, and chooses r. And then we're just going to do 15 chooses 5. And it's 3003. 3003. So I'm going to put 3003. 2 to the 10th, that's 1024. X to the 10th. And 5 to the 5th. What's that? 5 to the 5th. Let's ask TI-84. 3125. Oops, 3125. Oh, actually what they mean by without simplifying is they don't want us to do all of this, but we did it. Okay, simplifying further, I would multiply 3003, 1024, and 3125 together. Since I already did all this work anyway, let's go ahead and go all the way, shall we? But they said without simplifying, so I don't need to go this far. I could just leave the components without multiplying them out. We'll do that next time. Save a little bit of work. Oh my God, look at that. That's why they didn't want to simplify it. It's this huge number. Be careful and don't make a mistake on writing the number of zeros down. It's 5 zeros here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this is the coefficient, and the variable part is x to the 10th. They want the term, so I need to put both the coefficient and the term. Okay, let's find the 10th term of this one here. So in this one, the a value is just x. The b value is negative 2 over x, and the n value is 17. So let's fill in the general term formula. We're going to put in 17 chooses, and we would put 10, but it's not 10, it's 10 minus 1, right? Because the r value is 1 less than the ordinal number. A value is x to the n minus r. Remember, n is 17. R is not 10, it's 9. And b value is negative 2 over x to the what power? To the r power. So the r is the 9, value 9 again. Okay, so now it says don't simplify. So we can just stop right here. I'm just going to do one more little simplification, which is I'm going to do 17 minus 9, which is 8. Okay, and then I'm not going to simplify the rest because it says not to. Okay, all right, I'll just leave it like that. That's what they said, don't simplify. So I didn't even do 17 chooses 9, although that's the easiest part. You can do it in the calculator, right? Okay, let's move on to number 3. Consider the expansion of this binomial expansion to the 7th power. Write down the general term of the expansion. Okay, what do they mean by write down the general term? In this case, they don't just mean write this down. They mean actually fill in what you know. What do we know? We know that N is 7. We know that A is X, and we know that B is B. Oh, that's good. B is actually B and not something else. Okay, so we're going to do 7 chooses R. We don't know what the R value is. That's why it's the general term. The A value is X, N minus R, so 7 minus R. And then we know that B is B, and to the R. Now, this is the general term for this expansion. It's still the general term because we don't know what R is. All right. Find B given that the coefficient of x to the fourth is negative 280. Okay, what the heck does that mean? So what they mean is there's going to be a term which is negative 280 x to the fourth, okay, because negative 280 is the coefficient, x to the fourth is the variable part. Let's set it equal to this and see what happens. They say find B if that's a term, and general term is equal to all the terms as long as you vary it to the right value of R. So let's check what matches with what. Okay, so the number part, or the variable part, is x to the 7 minus R, x to the fourth, right? These are the two variable contributions. The B is a number, okay? And 7 chooses R is a number. So those two combine to be negative 280. All right? So let's see. X to the 7 minus R equals x to the fourth, which means that 7 minus R equals 4, which means that R equals 3, right? So if R equals 3, then we know everything. Let's see. Let's fill it in. 7 chooses 3, x to the fourth, we knew that, and b to the 3. That is equal to negative 280 x to the fourth. Now the x to the fourths cancel out, right? So what that means is 7 chooses 3, b to the third is equal to negative 280. All right, so now what we need to do is figure out what 7 chooses 3 is. We definitely don't have that one memorized. So we do math, probability, and chooses R. 7 chooses 3, 35. So 35b cubed equals negative 280. Now it's just an algebra problem. Negative 280 divided by 35. Eight. So that means b cubed equals negative 8. If I take the cube root of each side, b is equal to negative 2. That's it. You could do that last part, cube root of negative 8 on the calculator. Remember, you could do cube root by doing math and then going down here to cube root, right? And so then you can put a negative 8. Oops, I should have done negative 8. If I had done negative 8, it would be negative 2. All right, that's it for this one. For the next problem, we're going to have 2 different methods. Okay, so for these 2 problems, 4C and 4D, we're going to have 2 methods to solve each one. This method that I'm going to show you now is the algebra method, and then afterwards you can watch the non-algebra method, or you can watch the non-algebra method instead. So the algebra method, you're going to do what you were just doing. You're going to use the general term formula to find a single term in the expansion. If you expanded this, you would have 7 terms, right? We're not expanding the whole thing. We're going to be smart about it. We're going to use algebra. They tell us that the term they want is the one that has x to the 6th, y to the 3rd, and we don't know if that's the 2nd term. We don't know if it's the 5th term. So what we're going to do is we're going to fill in the general term formula using a, b, and r. So our a value is obviously 2x squared. Our b value is negative 3y, right? And our n value is 6. What is our r value? We don't know, but we're going to find out that we're going to find that out using the algebra method. Okay, so first we're going to fill in everything that we know. The n is 6, r we don't know. The a value is 2x squared. N minus r would be 6 minus r. And b would be negative 3y to the r, right? And we know that that's going to be equal to some coefficient x to the 6th y cubed, because that's what they tell us this term looks like, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to break up the left side. The left side has things that contribute to this numerical coefficient, including the Pascal's triangle coefficient, of course. It's going to be a number. This 2, that's a number. This -3, that's a number, okay? Everything else is a variable, so the x squared is a variable, the y is a variable, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to break it up into the number part and the variable part, okay? So let's do the variable part first. The variable part would be only x squared to the 6 minus r times -3y to the r. That would be, oh, I'm sorry, it wouldn't be -3. It would only be y, right? Okay. And that would be equal to this variable part, which is x to the 6th y cubed, right? Now, looking at the comparison of these terms, we can easily figure it out that r is 3, right? Because if r was 3, this would match perfectly, r and 3. And the y's would be both y cubed. And for x squared, if r was 3, 6 minus 3 is 3, x squared to the 3rd is x to the 6th, right? Okay, remember, x, if that's too confusing, you could multiply these together, right? You would get 12 minus 2r, and you could say, oh, x to the 12 minus 2r, if 12 minus 2r is equal to 6, then that means that 6 is equal to 2r. I just did a little bit of algebra there. Divide both sides by 2, r equals 3. Oh, again, so both of these terms, both of these expressions, the x expression, the y expression, tell us that r is equal to 3. Now that we know that r equals 3, we know everything we need to about the general term, and we can figure out exactly what the entire term looks like, meaning we can figure out what the coefficient looks like, okay? So we know that the variable part looks like this. What does the coefficient part look like? It would be this part, and this part. If we fill in with, I'm going to do a highlighter so that you can see with the highlighter. So like this part, and this part with the coefficient, with the exponents filled in with r equals 3. So let's do that. So it would be 6 chooses 3, and then it would be 2 to the 6 minus r, which would be 3, and then it would be -3 to the r, which is 3. So 6 chooses 3. We can use the calculator for that. It would be math, probability, NCR, 6 chooses 3. So it's 20. Okay. So it'd be 20 times 2 cubed, which is 8, and -3 cubed, which is -27. Now we can use the calculator again to multiply these out. 20 times 8 is 160, times -27. -4320. -4320 is my coefficient, okay? If I want to write out the whole term, it would -4320, and then I would put the x to the 6th y cubed, right? Okay, so that is the algebra method of solving for C. Let's use the algebra method of solving for D. Okay, remember, first thing we're going to do is we're going to fill in the general term with everything that we know. Then we're going to break it up into the number part and the variable part, and then we're going to find out when the variable part is equal to this. Okay? All right, so in this case, the a value is 2x squared. The b value is -1/x. The n value is 12, and we don't know what the r value is yet. Okay, and then I'm going to fill in the general term formula with everything that I know. So n chooses r would be 12 chooses r. r. We don't know what r is yet. A is 2x squared. To the n minus r is 12 minus r. And b is negative 1 over x. Okay. Now, which part of this is the variable part? The variable part would be this part and this part, right? And the exponents. Okay, so I'm going to write that part out. X squared to the 12 minus r. And then I'm going to have 1 over x to the r. And I'm going to have all this equal to x to the 12, because that's the part that we want, the variable part of the term. And then we're going to figure out what r is. Once we figure out what r is, we can fill in r in this general term. It'll be complete, and then we can figure out exactly what term it is. Okay? They're asking for the coefficient here. If you give the whole term, it looks like that. If you give the coefficient, it looks like that, right? Okay, the coefficient is the numerical part. Remember, not just the Pascal's triangle part, but sometimes there's like a numerical part contributed by the a and the b term. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to try to express the left side as x to the something. In order to do that, we need to take the 1 over x and make it into an x to the negative 1. Okay, so instead of 1 over x, we're going to put x to the negative 1. And then we're going to multiply all the powers together, the exponents together. So 2 times 12 minus r would be 24 minus 2r. And then x to the negative 1 times r would be x to the negative r, right? Oops. And that all equals to x to the 12th. If this all equals to x to the 12th, we've done these kind of problems before, right? These match. So 24 minus 2r minus r. Do you see how the same base twice? So I'm going to put all the exponents together. Oops, I'm going to put all the exponents added together. Now I can set these equal to each other, right? So 24 minus 2r minus r is 24 minus 3r equals 12. Now I just do a little bit of algebra, add 3r to both sides, subtract 12 from both sides, and r is equal to 4. Okay? All right, if r is equal to 4, that means that I can figure out what the entire, what the coefficient is here, okay? Or the entire expression, right? So now I'm going to fill in the general term form completely. So it'll be 12 chooses 4, 2x squared times 12 minus 4, which is 8. And then negative 1 over x to the 4, right? Okay, so what's 12 chooses 4? Let's ask TI-84. So that would be math, probability. 12 chooses 4. 495. 495. And then 2 to the 8th. What would be 2 to the 8th? Let's ask TI-84. 256. And negative 1 to the 4th. That would just be 1, right? So we won't write that down. X squared to the 8th. That's x to the 16th. 1 over x to the 4th. That would be x to the 4th in the bottom. Notice how x to the 16th divided by x to the 4th is x to the 12th, which we wanted, right? So actually, this part is x to the 12th as expected. What about the numerical part? It would be 495 times 256. 126720. 126720 is the coefficient. the term would be 126,720 x to the 12th. Okay, so they asked for the coefficient, so this would be the answer. That is the algebra method. How did you like that?